Welcome to F260, week 28, Esther chapter 5 and 7, 5 to 7, entitled, His Mischief Shall Return on His Own Head. Highlight verse is from Esther 5:2. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Explaining this, Esther's uncle Mordecai had prevailed upon her to plead with the king for mercy for the Jews, that they be spared from the royal decree for their destruction. The Persian law states that if anyone comes into the king's presence unbidden, and unless the king would hold out his scepter, that person would be put to death. After much prayer and fasting, Esther puts her life in God's hands, saying, "If I perish, I perish." She goes before the king, and the Lord gives her favor with him. Applying this, meanwhile, Haman, the king's chief minister, who hatched the plot for mass destruction of the Jews, is incensed at Mordecai, who is a strict Jew and bows only to God, and refuses to bow before Haman. So Haman builds a gallows and plans to obtain the king's permission to hang Mordecai on it. However, the king has a sleepless night. To pass the time, he sends for the record of his reign. The passages of the Chronicles which are read include an account of Mordecai saving the king's life. The king has forgotten all about this until now, and is dismayed to find that Mordecai has never been rewarded. He resolves to honor the Jew as soon as possible. At that very moment, Haman arrives, and before he has had a chance to ask for Mordecai's hanging, the king solicits his help in honoring Mordecai for having saved his life. He engages Haman to seat Mordecai on a royal horse and to lead the horse through the streets and shout out Mordecai's fame. Haman is deeply mortified. When Esther had gone before the king, she arranged with him for he and Haman to attend a special banquet she had prepared. Now, at the banquet, she tells the king about the decree to destroy her people, for she is a Jew also, and pleads that both she and they may be spared. The king is furious at the situation and demands to know who engineered it. The culprit is with them at the table, and Artaxerxes strides out into the garden in a rage to decide what action to take. Left alone with the queen, Haman throws himself on her in desperation for his life. When the king catches him like this, his fate is sealed. And when Artaxerxes hears that Haman has prepared a gallows for Mordecai, he orders that Haman himself be hanged on it. Credit goes to Andrew Knowles Bible Guide for some of the wording of this account. My response, Psalm 7:15-16 says, "He made a pit and digged it, and has fallen into the ditch which he made. His mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate." Amen. God bless.